Am I the butthole for serving my husband's parents' pizza on Christmas dinner when they showed up unexpectedly? I female 33 am a nurse and I've been crazy busy lately. So busy that I'd spend 2 consecutive days at the hospital. I covered shifts during weekends/holidays for this year. We're not doing well financially and I've only been working for a few months and we have debts to pay for on time. I'm exhausted all the time. I don't get to sleep much. My husband's parents are aware of my work nature but still acted upset I didn't go shop for their gifts earlier. They did receive gifts from me and I made sure everyone was happy. My husband told me his mom wanted to bring the family and celebrate Christmas at our house. I politely declined and explained that I can't be serving 10+ people when I'm committed to a very demanding, very strict schedule. My mother-in-law still pissed at me for this and told the family that I was using my job as an excuse since I obviously can't even cook a decent meal, let alone host a celebration. I really thought that they let another family member host Christmas dinner. Christmas Day at 2 p.m. I got off work and went home feeling exhausted and could barely take a shower. My husband didn't leave the house and when I asked him about whether his family invited him for dinner he said no because I ruined it when I refused to let them come. I knew he was starting an argument, I just left it at that. At 6 p.m. the door rang and I saw his mom and dad walking in. I greeted them and brought them coffee and biscuits. They said they came to give us our gifts on behalf of the family and they stayed for over 2 hours. His mom started giving me looks and asking when she and her husband were going to eat dinner. I got up and decided to reheat the pizza we had from the night before and when his mom saw it she stared at me and asked if I was serious. She asked me where is Christmas dinner and was stunned that I didn't cook for the occasion. I told her I didn't cook because I wasn't expecting anyone to be invited to the house. She got upset and said that I should have cooked for the occasion regardless of whether we had guests or not because she said it's part of the celebration and talked about how every home had a Christmas feast. She said I had no etiquette and that I was clearly starving her son by not cooking even on holidays. I got into an argument with her while my husband and his dad sat there watching. She called me disrespectful and to stop using my job as an excuse for my lack of function as a wife. Then they left. My husband said I should have taken a few days off and hosted dinner, completely ignoring that his mom made a big deal out of it. She's all over the SM talking about me serving her pizza instead of a real Christmas dinner. /My husband works in construction. Work has been slow lately, he spends more time at home than me. He does cook meals whenever I'm working so I'm not sure why his mom thinks he's being treated unfairly. He's an adult and can cook his own meals. Her problem is with me not preparing her a full Christmas dinner and thinks this stuff more important than work. /fix the word etiquette because that's how she said it. I laughed inside to be honest. NTA. My husband said I should have taken a few days off and hosted dinner, completely ignoring that his mom made a big deal out of it. Don't worry, Christmas will be much easier when you're single next year. Plus, how can he be married to her and not realize that nurses can't just take a few days off out of nowhere like that, particularly during the holidays? Especially during the current global situation which must not be named on this sub. Even requesting time off weeks in advance is no guarantee they will be approved. Nurses' scheduling is insane. At my last job we had to request time off a year in advance. And you absolutely cannot request off holidays if it's your turn to work. This is why I loved working in a multicultural area when I was working in a healthcare adjacent job, admin, but like, emergency care admin, if that makes sense, so office had to be staffed 24/7. I didn't mind working Christmas Day because my family comes from Eastern Europe and celebrates on Christmas Eve, so I would happily swap shifts to make someone's Christmas. So would other workers. Most Christmas days it would be me and the Muslims and the one Jew having a great time. Then the people who celebrate Christmas would repay the favor during Ramadan, etc. I loved how our differences meant in this case everyone usually got time off when it was important to them. Hey, my first award. Cheers. That's so wholesome, I love it. This year, I seem to see more and more selfishness. Looking at the news and even going out on limited runs to town has done nothing but convince me that the vast majority of humans are hateful. I really needed to see this. How wonderful to hear about people trying to help others despite their differences. I think I'm going to hop off the internet now and let 2020 end on this sweet note. Happy New Year. Great example of how diversity is strength. Our holiday schedule is ours. If you're lucky enough to find someone who wants to take your hours or switch shifts, awesome. But those hours are yours to work or cover. No requesting off. No canceling. And if you call in sick? Guess who's working extra holiday hours next time to make up for it? Same with weekends. You plan around your work schedule. Our holiday schedule is ours. If you're lucky enough to find someone who wants to take your hours or switch shifts, awesome. But those hours are yours to work or cover. No requesting off. No canceling. And if you call in sick? Guess who's working extra holiday hours next time to make up for it? Same with weekends. You plan around your work schedule. 5 warnings? Goddamn. No crap. Christmas Day at 2 p.m. I got off work and went home feeling exhausted and could barely take a shower. My husband didn't leave the house, and when I asked him about whether his family invited him for dinner, he said no because I ruined it when I refused to let them come. I knew he was starting an argument. I just left it at that. She said I had no attenuate and that I was clearly starving her son by not cooking even on holidays. I got into an argument with her while my husband and his dad sat there watching. My husband said I should have taken a few days off and hosted dinner, completely ignoring that his mom made a big deal out of it. I know you don't want to hear it, but the issue is your husband. Setting aside that he could have shopped and cooked the meal if it was so important to him, he lets his mother treat you like this. He literally sat there and didn't defend you or shut his mother down. And that's because he agrees with her. He literally sat there and didn't defend you or shut his mother down. And that's because he agrees with her. Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised to find out he's been complaining to his mother about this, and that's what led to them showing up and blowing up at her in the first place. Wouldn't be surprised if he invited them, to be honest. Probably hates that his wife isn't home waiting on him 24/7, so has cried to mommy, who has turned up to tell her what a bad wife she is. How the hell do you end up married to someone and not know by that point that they aren't the stay-at-home wife type? Some people dig that. I'm mostly a stay-at-home husband. I like taking care of the kids and all that. Wife likes to work. We knew that like 6 minutes after the relationship got serious. Dude's freaking daft. 100%. I could never be with someone that saw me being treated like this by his family and didn't stand up for me. A partner should side with you always when you're being treated unfairly. You're probably right. And that's because he agrees with her. 100%, agreed. If he had any respect for how hard his wife works, he would have shut his mother down long ago. Instead, he secretly agrees with her that original post shouldn't let her job get in the way of being an attentive wife who should have dinner served to her husband. God forbid he'd actually just do it himself. He allowed his mother to bully and disrespect his wife in her own home. He's a terrible husband. I bet if they have kids, she'll be expected to do most of the childcare, and it will never be up to mother-in-law's standards. Exactly. I finished work on Christmas morning. I did a Boxing Day meal. Partner's mom did a Christmas Day meal. Nobody expected me to do a damn thing. It was just appreciated that I decided to. Next year I'm working all of Christmas. I will not be cooking. Our workplace does not allow you to book Christmas off, as it's not fair to say yes to some and no to others when everyone has a legit reason to want that particular time off. Yes, and tell no nuts he can cook other times, so he should have made a effing Christmas dinner if it was so damn important. Not the butthole original post, and I hope they are your ex-family next year. Up the nerve of these people. Stay well and alive, and get rid of the deadweight. Seconded. NTA, you, op, have a husband problem. Your husband is useless. His mother is abusive. His family has such exceedingly poor judgment. They wanted to gather more than 10 people uninvited in a healthcare worker's house during a pandemic, and when you specifically declined to host, his parents just showed up anyway? And your useless butthole husband blames you for this. Tell her she's absolutely right. You clearly are starving and neglecting your poor husband, so it really will be the best thing for all of you if he moves back into her house, where she can mother him properly, and you can be free to take care of yourself and only deal with sane, polite people in your free time. Seriously. How am I starving him? He's an adult capable of feeding himself and taking care of himself. Getting my job involved in every argument and acting like it's a horrible thing shows how inconsiderate and disrespectful she is. And again, how disrespectful your husband is. If he doesn't think your job is a net contributor to your well-being as a family unit and household, that is something he should address with you in private after defending it and you to his family. And frankly, even if he does feel that way, it doesn't seem legitimate if you guys are struggling financially even with your job. Your marriage needs work, or ending, and the first step is making your husband 100% responsible for all things related to his own family of origin. It's his job to buy their gifts, handle all communication with them on behalf of your household, play host to them when they visit, including organizing/cooking their food, serving their coffee, coordinating all preparation and planning, leading the cleanup effort with your help as lieutenant, etc. If his mother calls, he answers. If she texts you about anything other than friendly chit-chat, refer her to him. He is the keeper of that relationship and all associated effort beyond friendly courtesy. If she shows up uninvited and wants dinner, he can figure out what to do about that. If she starts looking at you, just smile politely, and look at him. If she asks you what's for dinner, say, "That's up to Jim." This on its own will do a lot to either fix your husband's butthole perspective on interaction with his family, or expose the much deeper and more significant flaws in your marriage that may not be reparable. The idea that hosting and cooking and cleaning and planning are the woman's job is toxic bullcrap, and you only give it power when you buy into it. So don't do that. It's not a true obligation, and the solution is to opt out. Yay! Love this. Clapping hands, clapping hands, clapping hands, clapping hands, clapping hands. Agreed. And if she is making more money than the husband, she should start dropping that casually in conversations and telling the mother-in-law that she failed to raise a provider. Or F all of this and just leave these miserable people behind you. I really think this mother-in-law needs to hear that. If you think your son's wife should be playing 1950s housewife, then you should have raised a son who puts on a hat, gets a solid 9 to 5 and pays all of the bills and cuts the grass on Sundays. Oh, the poor lambkin can't do that because reasons? Oh well. Yeah, the second thing. The golden rule with narcissists is, once you know, you go. They do not get better. They double down and make your life a living hell. You think it's bad now? Let your emotional thinking lead you to waste even more time on these people and see how great it is in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Your hatred for them very quickly becomes hatred for yourself for not leaving years ago and wasting your life in false hope, guilt, fear and obligation. I truly hope you don't follow the path of regret and sunk cost fallacy that so many fall victim to. Please leave these toxic people in your dust. Please go and be free. You will be so glad you made that leap into the unknown. Life gets so much better when you cut toxic people completely out of your life. Fight through the FOG, fear, obligation and guilt. Get a therapist to help you emotionally with the transition, and TMFA. Great advice here. NTA, and up. This comment here is 100% what you should do. Hell, reading it, I realize that my wife and I naturally do this even though we don't have these issues, and it works out great. My folks call or drop by? I take point and figure out meals and other arrangements. It's her family coming over? Okay, hon, what's the plan and how can I help? Brilliant system, and highly recommended. You keep, rightfully, attacking your mother-in-law, but not once have you outright said your husband is an in this, too. In fact, he's the bigger because he's supposed to be in your corner and defend you against his mother's unfair attacks. All the commenters here have told you it's your husband who's your biggest problem. Is that getting through to you at all? No, she just wants to come here to smooth her hurt feelings while willfully ignoring her pathetic excuse for a husband. This is how most posts on this and the relationship subs go. The spouse is a main contributor to strife, but the original post wants to put it all on the in-laws when it should really be a 50-50 split. Nobody wants to admit they married an absolute butthole. Nobody wants to admit they married an absolute butthole. I really hope original post figures that out before she has kids with her butthole husband. Because then she'll be cooking, cleaning, entertaining, doing most, or all, of the childcare and still have to work in the paid workforce to pay the bills. Meanwhile, he sits on his arse being a man because all that is women's work. He, and his mother, will still complain that original post has failed as a wife because she's not devoting enough time to her husband. Except for this one tiny little non-existent issue, he's so awesome and I love him so much and our relationship is all peachy. I hate this guy. He's never done anything like this before and I'm shocked. Shocked I tell you that he's behaving like this. And you know it's been like this the whole relationship, she just ignores it. It's easier to cut an in-law out of your life than deal with a toxic spouse. It's blazingly obvious that you're not TA and that your mother-in-law and husband are. And the most vocal people will tell you to leave him. But most people told leave him. Don't head the call, so I will give you one piece of advice that I think you're more likely to consider: make sure you don't have a child with this man. Leaving is something you can do on your own time, or, if he authentically changes, not at all. But something needs to change here, and bringing a child into all this will result in far fewer options. I know you didn't mention doing so, but I also know that many women your age feel intense pressure to do so. Especially those mother-in-laws like yours. And if she has a kid, doesn't seem like hubby would be too helpful. Your mother-in-law is horrible, but even worse is your husband's attitude. You didn't ruin it for refusing to host. If it meant that much to him, he could have taken a few days off work to prepare a feast worthy of his previous mom. Then he sat there and watched his mom go off on you? He is not a partner. Also, your mother-in-law is perfectly capable of cooking a feast and hosting you if she values a Christmas feast. Stop talking about your mother-in-law. You're missing the point. Are your husband's hands broken? Why didn't he cook? He's being negative, complaining instead of doing things on his own. He knows how hard I work but still sided with his mom, probably feels bad since she's disappointed. Girl, why are you with him? Like, what is he contributing here? Don't want to sound like a butthole, but if he was like that before they got married, this should have been a big old red flag that his behavior is not going to change. They should have had a talk about boundaries regarding his parents long time ago. Exactly. A marriage is a partnership where you build a life together. It doesn't make sense if only one person is contributing. I am consistently shocked with the relationships people get themselves into and stay in. I'd rather be alone than stuck with some garbage pile who won't even offer to cook on Christmas when I've been working long hours. It's worse than that. He's giving her a hard time about it and generally treating her crafty. I agree though, I think I wouldn't stick around. Soon-to-be ex-husband, I hope. Then send him over to mommy's house so he can get fed and his nappy can get changed. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.